You're locked into the Rip Roaring Reds. This is Jace. I am Grev, and you're watching our season predictions for the 24-25 season. Can City make it 5 in a row? Will Slot sink or swim as Jurgen Klopp's successor? Will Arteta finally take us to the summit? And also, what the fuck are Chelsea doing? If you're new here, please do give this video a thumbs up, give the channel a subscribe, and leave a comment below on what you think will pan out for Arsenal's season. But before we get into all of that, Jason, how the devil are you?
Mate, I'm so excited for tomorrow. I cannot wait. I want to get the party started now. I'm ready for 10 months of absolute bliss, of victories, goals. I just want in. I want in now. I'm good. How are you, my friend? How are you?
Yeah, I like you. When I get into it, my review is going to be all about that buzz and that vibe. It feels like real football is almost here. We're recording on an evening when Manchester United are playing Fulham. So I'm hoping we've had a text from a friend of ours to say, let's hope that Arsenal Mini, which is Iwobi, who else we got? ESR, Leno. Arsenal. What? Is Willian still there? I don't know if he's even still there. But Arsenal Light are going to beat Man United tonight. Let's see what happens. I'm buzzing, mate, too. So yeah, let's do that. Let's get into it because we're one day removed from the season. We're going to do what we do always on this show, which is go for a Ripple review. It's going to be your talk of the town, your view, what's happening in your world of Arsenal. Like I say, we're on Christmas Eve for Arsenal fans, Arsenal Wolves tomorrow. How are you feeling? What's your roaring review, Jace?
Oh, well, it is Christmas Eve. It does feel genuinely like Christmas Eve. And I'm going to spill the news, Greg, but we finally got our season tickets, right? Like, that's a big thing for us. We're very, very excited. We've been waiting for so long to have our season tickets. We've gone in. We managed to get seats, a couple of seats apart, which isn't too bad. So we're close enough together. We're not going to, within reason, we're going to have an opportunity to go to every single home game this season, which was a pain last season with the ballot, right? And the way the ballot worked out, it worked out good at the beginning half of the season. The second half of the season was absolutely rubbish for us. So yeah, I'm so excited. I'm all in. I feel, this year is the third year in which we're going to be in the mixer, and third time's a charm. Fingers crossed, and we'll be there to see every step of the way. So yeah, I'm feeling very good. I can't wait.
Big spoilers there, Jace. Big spoilers there. You said we're going to be in the mixer. You're ruining who you think is going to be in your top 6.
Oh, yeah. So it's not ruining anything, mate.
Hey, it's an Arsenal podcast.
What do you expect?
Yeah. Like you, I'm buzzing. I really hope that this is the season that we can silence the doubters, put all that to bed and really make a mark for ourselves. I really don't. Maybe I am putting a spoiler or a marker down. I don't think City can do it 5 in a row. I want to kind of put to bed our lack of a striker. If we get one, fantastic. But I want to just get strapped in. Havertz up top. We saw the damage that he could do, the goals he put away in the second half of last season. Do I think we've done enough in terms of the window and the market? Maybe not. Do I think we need to make new signings? No. I know it's not over yet. I suppose you're right. But like, do I think we've still got enough right now to get the job done? Absolutely. I think I do. I think we've got, for us, it's all been about those tweaks and those changes rather than full kind of rebuilds that a lot of other clubs are under. And if you look across, Liverpool haven't made any signings, although some other clubs have been super busy. We're not the only ones. So yeah, we've done all of our heavy lifting in our recruitment. We're kind of there. We're just making those kind of fine-tuning moments. And I really do think if an opportunity arises, we'll capitalize on it. We'll do what we need to do. But I think we're there. And I was just reminiscing a little bit, and I put this on your mind, see if you remember it as well. There was comments made by Gary Neville post a defeat to Brentford. I think it was the first game of the season 3 years ago.
3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah. And he basically said, I don't know what the recruitment is. I don't know what Arsenal are doing. And it couldn't have been more of a worse take if he had tried, because we are the benchmark for recruitment. When Arsenal, you hear this all the time, when Arsenal knock, it's a different kind of knock. That's all been teased a little bit recently when Liverpool made that knock to Zubimendi, and then he eventually turned them down, which was hilarious, of course.
I was going to go hands up if you've got a Spanish midfielder who wants to join you.
Well, let's not count our chickens before they hatch, because Marina's not here yet, but we're on the cusp. So yeah, I am absolutely locked into this season. I cannot wait. Like I say, the season ticket is the cherry on a very tasty cake. I cannot wait.
Awesome. Yeah.
Right. We're up here. We're up here, Jace. We're hot and heavy straight away. I'm not going to spoil anything yet. I'm going to start towards the lower end of the echelons. We're going to save our top six towards the end of this podcast to make you all wait with bated breath, of course. So let's start with your bottom three. How do you want to play this, Jace? Do you want to just go through our bottom three each, or do you want to take it in turns on 18? How do you want to play
it? Let's start 20th, 19th, 18th. Let's do it that way.
Right at the bottom.
So I guess me first. I went to Southampton, 20th. I looked through I didn't watch much of Southampton last year, but I looked through their squad and their roster, and I think they haven't kept as much Premier League talent from what they had when they went down. So I think you've got coaching staff, you've got a manager. How much experience do they have with Premier League? It's a question. And by the way, I don't even know who the manager is, but I know they switched him out. So how much experience have they actually had in the Premier League is one of the questions. I think that goes for the whole squad. It's just a very different squad. A lot of the time, you'll see a squad that goes down with Premier League and comes back up with maintaining at least some of that core. Whereas Southampton, looking at the roster, look quite different. I say I'm not a Southampton fan. I don't follow them closely. So maybe I'm being called out here for being a massive idiot. But my pick first for Southampton, I think also last year we saw for some clubs that are promoted how hard it is to stay in the Premier League. I think it was the same for it went up or went down. With some absolutely shocking performances when I think about it from Sheffield United especially. And I can see, I got that vibe about Southampton a little bit. So that's my pick for 20th.
I'll tell you what, since you've said Southampton, I'm going to just go to Southampton only because, so they're my 19th, they're not my 20th, but for very similar reasons. And I think I'm going to add on top, their third kit is the worst kit in the history of kits that I have ever seen. And if that monstrosity, it's awful. It's awful. Have you not seen it? It is shocking.
I have, but I don't think I can't. I'll have to have a look at it again now.
Maybe that's a whole other subject, but it is awful. Right, my 20th then is Leicester City. Why do I think Leicester City are going to be bottom? First of all, a potential points deduction on the horizon. I think there's still some turbulence surrounding that could cause them some issues that might mean there is some points being lost there. I was worried that, Dewsbury Hall, who was their player of the Championship last season, I can't profess to say I've watched like loads of Leicester, but Chelsea have snapped him up. And so I worry a little bit there. When you're losing your star kind of player, then there's usually some kind of omens hanging over you when that kind of happens. And lastly, which I still find quite surprising, they're still relying quite a lot on Jamie Vardy,
I was about to say,
who at 37 is still their kind of talisman. And it really does surprise me. There was a time when we were on our knees to get Jamie Vardy, which is incredible when you think about.
We didn't offer him a long contract though, did we? That's the thing. We said, "Oh, you're a bit old. We're not going to offer you two."
Look at him now; he's still playing at 37.
I bet he's not on as much though.
Probably not. But then, so also, they've got Cooper as the manager, who's got from Forest, has some experience, but not enough to obviously do the business with them. Yeah, I don't know. I was kind of in the mix between Leicester and Southampton, so it could be either way. But I put Leicester at 20th.
See, I'm going to give a spoiler. I don't even have Leicester in the bottom three.
Ooh.
I think Cooper did all right at Nottingham Forest. He didn't get relegated with them. So he knows what to do when he comes up with the team. That time he did come up with Nottingham. The amount of players that they bought, and it wasn't in his control. He was just given these players, and he had to somehow basically make a whole new squad work in the Premier League. So I think he's adaptable. I also, again, I did look at their roster and I recognised many more. But again, I'm not going to claim to be a Leicester fan. This is not a Leicester podcast. I didn't watch Leicester closely. I don't really follow the Championship closely unless some of the clubs near by where we live are up, but they're not in there at the moment. Leicester looked like the roster isn't too massively impacted. I still recognise quite a few of the players, so I'm gambling on a bit of Premier League nous in their squad to get them over the line compared with other clubs.
Okay. Like I said, 19th for me is going to be Southampton, not just because their third kit is an absolute atrocity.
Yep.
They're leaky as hell. When they were up in the Premier League last time, they just shipped a lot of goals, and if they continue to do that in a league that is extremely punishing to teams who leave themselves vulnerable at the back, I don't see much of a hope. And like you say, I don't recognise a lot of their talent. There was a time when they were a breeding ground and a feeding ground for Liverpool more than anyone, but they had such a harem of players that they just don't seem to have as much anymore. So I see them coming up and going straight back down. Where if you don't have Leicester, I'm just interested. So who's your 19th, Jace?
Ipswich. I've got Ipswich. So again, it's a team that has not been in the Premier League for, I don't know, about 20, must be about 19, 18 years. I remember them coming up in the early 2000s at some point, but then they were only here a few years and then they went back down and have not been back since, I don't think, if I remember rightly. So it's a long time since they've been up. Again, player-wise, they've invested a lot, but that has to gel. I'm doing this based on Premier League experience. I find that the teams that do come up that have been in the league more recently, they tend to fare better. Burnley is a good example of a bit of a yo-yo team. It survives and occasionally does well. And in this case, it went down last season. But I don't see. I just think that lack of experience from Ipswich will not help them right now. They might go down, come back again, and then maybe the second time they'll be better equipped. But this is the first time in a very, very long time that they've been up. So that's just my prediction. I think they've got Hutchinson, haven't they? I think he's the Arsenal
Amari.
Yeah, graduate who went to Chelsea, wasted, stupid move.
They made some money on him though, didn't they? I think they made some good money on him.
Yeah, I guess because technically he's an academy grad, right? So they may probably make pure 100% profit because maybe we got compensation from Chelsea for him. Maybe he wasn't an actual transfer, was it? So, he seems to be the star shining light. But again, don't claim to know Ipswich well. So, 19th for Ipswich. Prove me wrong. I'd like to Ipswich prove me wrong. Actually, I quite like them to stay.
You've done it again. So they're my 18th. I think Ipswich should go down as well. They are the underdog. So I've gone Leicester, Southampton, Ipswich.
So you've gone everybody in the top.
Everybody came up going back down again.
Interesting. Okay.
I do that. So I would say just on Ipswich. So they remind me a little bit of Luton in the fact that it's like a bit of a enclosed small ground that's going to have a big atmosphere when they come up. They're going to have a lot of that behind them. I just don't see that they've got the players. They've got a young manager who's up and coming, no doubt, but I think they play a style of football that is going to leave them quite open. Reminds me a little bit maybe of Leeds. When Leeds under Bielsa that's the way he played, and he wouldn't really change it, and it might get found out pretty quickly. But yeah, one thing I was going to say, because I reminisce a little bit about Ipswich. They were in the Premier League when I was a boy, and I used to collect the Panini stickers, and you'd get Ipswich always had a wicked badge. I like their badge; it's very old school. I have a bit they're a nice club. I like that. And you must have seen Ed Sheeran's got a minority stake in Ipswich now.
I was about to say, do you like Ed Sheeran? Is that why you want to
stay well, maybe. Maybe. I don't know, but I just can't see it. It feels like the Premier League now is such a different level above other leagues, and the delta between the Championship and the Premier League is quite vast in my opinion, and that's why I feel that those three going up are going to go back down.
I actually think that there's been a change in the last few years, and I think actually if you look at the Premier League and the amount of money, even like look at the likes of how much money West Ham have or Fulham have, or like now, you only need to be able to stay in the Premier League for a few years to bring in big money to basically be able to afford, because of the money you get from the Premier League, you can pretty much afford to spend more than 75-80% of the clubs in Europe. Like you've got clubs like Bournemouth buying a striker from Porto for 40 million rather than Nketiah. I mean, idiots, what are you doing? But you know, players from the big European clubs that usually would go to top six are going all over the joint. You got players that have gone. Kudos went to West Ham last year. I mean, Arsenal were close in for him. You got, you know, Fulham able to buy Smith Rowe from Arsenal for 35 million.
I think Brighton spent 180 million on something this summer. Like, it's incredible.
Yeah, they've been cashing in the checks for loads of players over the years. They've just been holding the money and not spent it, right? So I think that it's actually really hard now. If you come out of the Championship and you've not been in the Premier League before or for a very long time, and you don't have the financial power, you know, it's a very dangerous and hard position to be in coming out, because you've either got to try and spend big immediately, and that's a big gamble, right? It's a financial gamble that you're taking, because you're spending big in hope that you can stay up. But if you don't stay up and you go back down again, that's not good for the state of your finances and of the club. And there are clubs that have fallen foul and they've gotten themselves into big financial trouble. But so I think every single club that's been in the Premier League for 2 or more seasons instantly has a financial advantage over anyone coming up. And I think what we're going to actually find in the next few years, pretty consistently, that clubs that do come up to the Premier League probably do go straight down again, because they just can't compete. And even though it's not a closed shop, it kind of almost does become a closed shop.
Feels like a boys' club a little bit, doesn't it?
It does. And it may be, you know, everyone was saying we don't need a Super League because the Premier League is the Super League, and it's kind of going that way. And I think if a lot of the owners in the Premier League had their way, it would be a closed shop, and it would just go to the NFL style model, because that's what, I mean, I don't know how many, there's a lot of American owners there now that just want that, right? That's what they want. They want guaranteed money, guaranteed income, franchises that are going to guarantee revenue continuously.
It's a business. It's not a sport.
Exactly. So, I mean, I don't like it. I mean, I do like it. Arsenal secure, but I don't agree with it, and I don't think majority of football agrees with it. But it's difficult, right, for any top 3 team. Yeah. So my last one, sorry, I didn't touch on. So who actually is the club from the Premier League that will go down to the Championship?
I think okay. Is it Everton?
I didn't even think of that, but
I thought you might say, because I know you always want Everton to go down.
I do always want Everton to go down, and do you know what? If they did go down this year, it'd be hilarious, because don't they move
with a new stadium
next season? Yeah. I don't think it will be. Have they not spent much money? Have they?
They haven't. But I don't think it'll be. Go on, tell me who's your 18th.
And they sold Onana, didn't they?
Yeah, he went to Villa. I don't think so.
All right, I'm going to make my switch. I'm switching it out. Everton.
No, you're not.
I had Forest. I had Forest because I don't really rate Nuno, and I just felt that they could go this year. They're always a mismatched club full of buying loads of random players, and I never saw any cohesion or strategy in their lineup, in their organisation, and I felt that they could go. But in reflection, fuck it, Everton's going. Evan.
I like how susceptible you are. Jace, I feeded you that. You were like, yeah, why not?
Yeah, screw it.
All right. No other reason than just for banter, I'm guessing.
Yeah, just for banter. Just and didn't Sean Dyche beat us last year? Was it, or was it the season before?
It was the season before, I think.
All right, I'm still sore about that. So yeah, fuck it.
True. All right, I like it. Right. I added this new thing. I'm sure we did talk about it beforehand. So I added dark horse, which is basically who's going to be a bit of a surprise package in the season this year. Who do you think will maybe exceed their expectations? Who, if you're looking at expected goals, are doing better than where they should be? I have mine. Do you want me to go first, Jace, just in case you need some time? Or are you ready?
No, I do have one, but I found it really. What I will say before we do it is I found it really difficult because everyone I wanted to say a dark horse, I don't actually think is like a surprise. You know, I say to people I haven't gone Villa because like they did well last year, but they got a great squad. I think they can be consistent. Newcastle, it's not really a dark horse because they'll have Tonali back, and I think he's a great player. They've made astute signings, I think, apart from a ridiculous amount of goalkeepers. So I think that they could be there competing in the European places. So I don't think either of those are dark horses, but I do have a dark horse. But you go first. Go on.
All right, I am going for West Ham because they do feel to me like they're always kind of like a mid-table or just above mid-table. Obviously, they did well in Europe the season before last, and you know they did, and then we stole their best player.
Yeah.
But I think they've been quite shrewd in the market. They've got a lot of good talent. You know, Bowen, Kudus, Paqueta. They've just signed that new Fulkrug. You know a bit more about German football than I do.
Yeah,
but he's like a proper striker.
Yeah,
we don't really have many of those anymore, really, in the world. And
I think the game's moving that way, though. I think it is. So I think it's an astute signing.
Yeah, Somerville, another one that they signed, from Leeds. Some really good and good signings, good talent in their mix. And then, you know, I always thought that Moyes is a good manager. He's a good coach, a good man-to-man manager. But one thing that I would say is his football wasn't very inventive. I think part of the reason why he didn't last as long as he could have at Man United was probably just because of his style of football wasn't really too reminiscent of what Man United was about. And I do, I have a look at Lopetegui, and I do think that he's a bit more inventive, a bit more explorative, a bit more experimentative with his football. That could be interesting. And I kind of feel that they'll be pushing for the European places. They'll be pushing up that top. I think they'll be difficult to beat. And I'm quite excited by them. You know, I don't mind West Ham. There's a lot of London clubs that I don't have too much affinity for, Chelsea being one of them. But I don't mind Fulham. I like Palace. And I don't mind West Ham. And I'd be quite surprised. Actually, no, I say I wouldn't be surprised if they're kind of up there and pushing, because I do think they will be a bit of a dark horse.
Okay, yeah, I see that. So I went for one of the other London clubs you mentioned. I went Fulham.
Oh, so Arsenal light.
Yeah. Arsenal. Arsenal light. Why? Just because I want to see Smith Rowe do well, and I think if he can get the game time, we know what he's capable of. I think with Alex Iwobi, there's going to be a good chemistry. I think that they spent the money wisely that they got for Paulinho, and they were performing really, really well at the end of last season. And Marco Silva, I think, is a very good manager, and I can actually see him being a catch for someone's going to get fired in the top six. I mean, I could place my bet on it being the Chelsea manager first, unfortunately. And if someone gets fired from the top six, then Marco Silva could be a contender for that role. And that's Fulham for the dark horses.
Yeah, I think that's two quite nice picks there, Jay. So I like that. Right, let's go on the flip side of that coin a little bit then. The next category I have chosen is fall from grace. Now, okay. I wonder if I've picked this category on the pretense that I think there's only one team that can fit into it, but let's see. In this category, I kind of feel that it's a team that is good. It's always been up there. It's always been in the mix. It's always kind of roundabout and in about it. And now it's their time to kind of fall. There are teams that have fitted this mold. Maybe Man United could be one of the teams that fit into this mold. They were 8th last season, I think, you could say that's a fall from grace, right?
I think they've fallen, and now they've got to work.
Fallen, and now okay, cool, right. Do you want me to go, Jace, or do you want to go?
Well, I got a feeling we might have the same.
All right, let's do that then. After 3, we're going to say the name of the team that we think is going to fall from grace. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Chelsea.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Fine. For me, Enzo's only had one full season. Yes, he won the championship. He's walking into the most difficult job in English football. He's having to manage a bloated unbalanced squad of 43 players, I think, in total, with a real unique structure that is not fit around a manager that has autonomy to make the decisions that he wants to make. Todd Bowley is having a lot of influence over how that club is run and managed. You know, if this was Arteta, wouldn't be having any of this. There is, you know, the relationship with Edu and Garlic and Arteta is very, very different to this. And I do feel that Todd Bowley is probably thinking that he can emulate Arsenal's system by cloning a young manager who's relatively unproven. And I, for one, am just looking forward to a gigantic fall from grace. I think they'll fall lower than 6th. And they have a lot of good players. There's no doubt about it. But
they're ruining players. They're ruining managers.
Well, they're ruining the game. I think they're ruining everything about it because, like, you look at, I think we just saw Cole Palmer has just signed a deal, I think, for another 7 years, something like that. And we've seen what happened with Mudryk. They might be getting good money, right? So as a player and an agent, of course, you're going to be like, yeah, sign me up. Why not? I'll take a guaranteed paycheck for 7 years, even if I'm in the dumps. But as a player who could potentially be world class, because Cole Palmer could get there. You know, he is on the right trajectory, but he's just not in the right club.
Shouldn't he stay at City? Is that what you think?
I mean, they got good business out of him. Maybe it's just their squad. But we'll get onto City later because I do feel there's an age problem at City that Cole Palmer could help solve. So maybe you're right. What do you think about Chelsea, Jace?
So as I said, I think that it doesn't look like they actually have a strategy. Like the signings that they've been making, I don't actually know which players they're buying for the squad and which players they're just buying for some tactical gamesmanship of conning basically the rules of financial fair play and the money laundering. Money laundering, that's the wrong word, but
it almost is.
Well, I don't know.
Financial fair play.
I'm going to retract that statement because I didn't mean that, but exactly. But my point is, it doesn't look right what they're doing, and I know that there are rules in place that are allowing them to do this. So obviously they must think that they're doing something, but yeah, no, it just doesn't look right. And if you are a player that's signing for them, like how many goalkeepers have they signed?
I think 7 they've got in total now.
So if you
they got 7 goalkeepers,
but they've signed some keepers this season. Like, I mean, if I'm a goalkeeper at Chelsea, I don't know what I'm doing.
Like, I mean, mind you, Jace, if you're a team playing against Chelsea, they also don't know what they're doing. So you'd be like, which keeper am I playing against? I don't know. Could be anyone.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, there's just no method in the madness. And the preseason results haven't been good either. So, I mean, that's why I just felt it just looks like a mess from the outside, and that's my reasoning. As you know, tactically, got a new manager's got to put in a methodology and approach. So players are going to take time to learn what he wants. You're assuming that's going to be something close to Arteta and Pep because he's an ex-Man City disciple of some kind, but has he actually got the players that he needs? Because, like, you saw the mess Arteta inherited, and he tried to get him playing his way, and he did. You know, he took so many transfer windows. So, and there's actually a question around, like, how long are Chelsea going to get away with what they're doing? And is there the Premier League are investigating so many clubs? Will they start?
Well, that's what I thought. Maybe there's an impending ban, and that's partly the reason why they're swallowing the world, because they won't have windows to do it in the future.
Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't feel right. And if I'm a Chelsea fan, I wouldn't feel great about that club at this moment in time. As an Arsenal fan, it's hilarious, and they are back where they should be, in my opinion. Like the days before Roman Abramovich, where occasionally they got into Europe, but apart from that, they were like mid-table. That's the Chelsea I know. right? And I'm happy
Yeah.
with that. I don't care about Chelsea whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, I like you. I think them and Man United are the two that I relish the moment that they're not in the mix, because I just, there's a lot of apathy towards City. No one really cares whether they win or whether they lose. It's a bit like meh. With these two, I kind of like. I'm enjoying it. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We've talked about Chelsea as a club before on this pod and why I don't like Chelsea. They grate me more than Spurs. So I really think.
Right. Let us move on then. We're going to go straight to the main event, the top six. Let's use that same setup as earlier. We're going to start from six, move us all the way to the top. Jace, who have you put in sixth place?
I have put, hang on, I'm just checking. Ooh, reminding myself now. This is interesting. I don't know if I want to change this already. I wrote this the other night.
Is it Everton?
Yeah. No, I went Spurs. Ooh. I went Spurs.
I've also gone Spurs.
Okay. I think that the top six is going to be very tight. I don't know about maybe the top two. They may go off again. It might be whereas I don't know who the top two are going to be. I've said I've got a prediction, but I'm not now down on it because I think it's quite open. But I think whoever are in the top two might be clear, if that makes sense. But then I think it's a real big, tight scrap for the European places. So I've gone Spurs. I don't think they'll have a bad season. I think they'll have a good season. I think there'll be some upward trajectory in regards to their development. I think we saw that even with Mikel, right? Like when Mikel was going up, like we had an eighth, and we had an eighth, and we had a fifth. It may not have been Euro Champions League spaces, but we saw progression. And I think that's what Spurs will see in the way they play and the development of the squad. So under Ange, the signings that they've made have been pretty astute. So I think that they won't quite make Champions League, but they'll be very, very, very close. Because I think it's just going to be a very, very tight between those six.
Yeah, similar reasons to you, I think. Solanke, I think, is a pretty good signing. They need an out-and-out kind of striker, and he's that man. Son's obviously still a very good player. I think the combination rate and work rate they had with Kane when he was there was incredible, and maybe he can replicate some of that with Solanke. Archie Gray, another quite good, astute signing, and they've got a lot of good talent in their mix, like Van der Ven, I like, Porro, I like. I say I like. I can like them as much as any Arsenal fan can like any Spurs player, let's be honest. But the thing why I kind of put them where I put them is we've seen what Ange ball is like, and it's very much like flipping a coin and finding what are you going to get. I think we saw that game against Chelsea where they played like this suicidal high line, and then we've seen them play against us where it's just goal, like it's like a basketball game. Their games are entertaining. They can be thrilling. They can be compelling. I don't know if he's quite perfected the art of that yet. There was elements of Arsenal, like you say, in their growth and trajectory where we were doing similar kind of things. And I think this is where a lot of Arteta's investment has been. I'm going to shore up the back, knowing that if we don't concede and we just get 1 or 2 goals, we're going to win. Maybe they need to go through some of that, but maybe they're doing it the other way around. I just can't see that quite dynamic yet, fully formed. And so, I'm putting them kind of on the cusp, but not quite there.
Yeah, that's fair.
Nice that we've gone the same. I wonder if it's going to be interesting. I'm gonna see if we're going to do it again. Let's move up to fifth then.
You want to go first?
Go on then. I'll go first. So in fifth place, I have Newcastle United.
Ooh.
So I think that they got a good bunch of players. Bruno. They've got Tonali coming back from suspension, like you said. If they sign Guehi from Palace, which is the talk at the moment, I think that him and Byrne and all of those they have a good kind of back line. They've got no Europe, which I think is going to help them out a lot as well. Yeah. They're not, when we saw them go up to the Champions League and get absolutely slaughtered, that probably dampened their spirits a bit. So I think they're a big club as well, right? They have the stadium, they have the fans, they have the manager, they have all of the good ingredients that are going to help them get to where they need to get to. And as we've seen when they played us last year, just a little bit of luck is going to help them get to where they need to get to. So I kind of think that I don't think they have as good a players as Spurs, but I think the way that they're set up and the way that they play is more akin to what will help you get higher up the league in terms of lead protection, in terms of out of possession play, in terms of goal scoring. So I kind of think they'll be better than Spurs this year, but just on the cusp of the Champions League.
Okay.
Who are you going in your fifth place then, Jace? Because it's obviously not Newcastle.
Oh, it is another United though.
Okay.
Yeah, Man U. I think that they are overhyped this season. Oh, I said it. Come on. Come at me, United. No, I do. I think they'll be better. I think they'll be in there. They've clearly made. I think their signings are decent signings, but I don't think they're world-class signings. So they're. And I think they'll strengthen their defense. And I think that was just the holes last year. Defensively, they were awful. I think Højlund will adapt. And, again, I said it's going to be tight. It's not going to be like they are far off Champions League. I think it'll be very tight. I just feel that there are other teams that have slightly more quality and experience to get over the line. Like Man United are going through their transition. And fifth place is like when Arteta got fifth place for them. It's development, it's time. I think that I am surprised they kept Ten Hag. I find it very interesting that they brought Grev van Nistelrooy in. I didn't like Grev van Nistelrooy as a player for Man United. He was an arch nemesis of Arsenal, but as a manager, I think that it's going to be. Oh, hang on. I'm just going to switch. Oh, what are the chances, Grev? Hey, camera again. Camera's gone again. I thought this podcast was going to go smoothly, but anyway, switched over back to the other camera. I find it very interesting they brought Ruud in. I don't understand that. Ruud is a manager. He's obviously a very good coach as well, but he's a manager, and I just don't understand why you'd bring another manager in to work alongside a manager. Unless you're Steve McLaren, you're clearly not a manager. You're a second. You're not very good as a manager. But
do you not think it's like a stepping stone? It's like a progression. Learn the ropes, learn the club, get that, and then the job's yours, kind of thing. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't bode well for Ten Hag, really.
Yeah, why would he agree to that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Unless he really wanted to keep his job and he had to just accept the terms. But that's very much, if Man United have a poor start, who's going to be manager by Christmas. And it ends Ten Hag. So, I think we'll see a better season from United. I think that it'll take a bit of time for their new signings to bed in. I think they might come good. I'm looking forward to seeing fifth place for the Ajax B team. What it is, right? He's just rebuilding Ajax. Because it was Zerke for an Ajax as well.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
That was EPS. I don't know about his. He was obviously at Bayern, and then I think he went to Italy, and then he's Dutch, so I'm assuming he was at one of the Dutch clubs first. Anthony obviously have already bought De Ligt's in there. I think they kept Van der Beek, or is he gone?
I don't know. Actually, it's a good question because I'll get onto my end because I was talking about their midfield is the part that is the bit that basically you could just waltz through their midfield. That was shown last year.
Yeah.
And I think they've shored up at both ends of the pitch. It is that midfield that for me is the most worrying. That's like for us, when we sorted out Declan Rice, it was like the key to unlock all the rest of it.
Yeah.
That's the bit that lacks it for me. But I have United higher up, so we'll get on to United for me.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean, I was just to keep talking about the Ajax part though. They obviously have Onana as well. Ajax. And the right back they bought was the right back behind Anthony in Ajax, I think. From Bayern, the guy bought from Bayern. So
but I get that Ajax are successful, but we all know that they're not as competitive. The Eredivisie is not as competitive as the Premier League. We know that. And we've seen some of the players like Anthony has been one of, if not the biggest flop in Premier League history. He's up there, at least.
Yeah, no, it's funny and it's entertaining. But I genuinely think they're trying to rebuild part of that Ajax squad that was so successful, probably getting towards the Champions League later stages, aren't they? So, yeah, interesting. Fourth?
Yeah, fourth for me is Liverpool. I am putting only fourth. The reason why, Liverpool do truly have an elite squad at their disposal. They have some really key stalwarts in their mix. Becker, Van Dijk, Salah, who looks like he's just like a man possessed with his new hair transplant, basically, and he's had a full preseason under his belt. They've got some youth in their ranks like Jones and Elliott who look really promising, and their front line is just like crazy good. Their front line, if that is firing in a very similar way to the Liverpool of old when it used to be, who was it? Salah, Mane, and it escapes me. Who was the third one that was always in that mix?
Salah, Mane.
That's annoying. Firmino, yes, there we go. When they had those three rotating and they were all firing on all cylinders, they were incredible. And you know, they've got, I already mentioned Salah, but Jota, Diaz, Nunez, they've got crazy talent. There's a lot of clubs, even us, that would look at that and go, that is, you know, I'd like a bit of that. The bit that worries me a little bit, I suppose, is the lack of business. They haven't made any signings. Their midfield looks and feels a bit weak to me. There's maybe an age problem in some of that as well. Like maybe some of those players, like Van Dijk, feels like he's still very, very good. There's no doubt about that, but feels like he's tapering off to make room for Saliba to be the number one centre back in the Premier League, of course. But I still feel they're going to be in the mixer. They're still going to be up there. I'm interested to see how Slot works out and the kind of things. Like when I've seen them in pre-season, they're out of possession. Their press looks like it's been pretty decent and pretty full on. But we know how difficult that is to maintain and to keep up over the course of a season. And it's whether or not I feel that they can do that across all those games. I'm not so sure, but I still feel they're going to be up there. They're going to be hard to beat. Not looking forward to playing them. I think they're always that side. I think that always feels to me the worst of the top six to play against, because we're always like, we know we're going to get either thumped or it's going to be like a stalemate. It's only recently where we've been able to turn that around. I remember quite when we were in the mixer of the league, not last season, the season before, I was in Orlando watching the Liverpool game on my phone, and I was like, that ball that almost went through to Martinelli, I was like on my knees. Yeah, I don't mind Liverpool. I think they'll do well. I just don't think they're going to be. I don't think they're going to be right at the top.
I'm surprised that you've clearly got United above them.
I have.
Which is interesting. I'm guessing. Yeah. I'm not going to say. So
who's your fourth, Chase? Go
on. It'd be funny if I've gone for Liverpool here, wouldn't it? I can't remember.
Good.
Yeah, I have.
You have.
Yeah, I've gone Liverpool. I'll explain why, actually, thinking about my reasoning. I mean, there's not much more to elaborate on than you already have. It's more the teams that I think will finish above them. It's more the reasons why Liverpool are fourth. Because they're decent. Their midfield is the only kind of maybe the gap as we kind of refer to. And, you know, the Zuba-Mendy thing's just quite funny, if I'm honest, because he turned down Arsenal, he turned down Bayern because he said he wanted to stay at Sociedad. So what was the thing that made Liverpool think that he was going to join them? Like right now, I feel confident for once in saying that we're not a joke club for players to sign for anymore. We are one of the best teams in the world, and I think it's very obvious. So if you want to come to the Premier League in this moment in time, you're going to go to Liverpool, you're going to go to Arsenal. For once, I feel very proud to say I think Arsenal is a better option than Liverpool. And so I don't know what made Liverpool fans so hopeful. But yeah, funny, but we'll wait and see if we can get Mourinho over the line. So I
Before we
guess.
start,
I mean, I think it's
before we
almost.
start throwing all the stones in the glass house.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm I'll tell you where I'm super interested now.
Yeah.
Who's your third?
I guess this is the team that I have a bit of a soft spot for.
It's Villa, isn't it?
Yeah, I've gone Villa.
I was thinking, who could it be? And then I was like trying to piece it together, and I was like, yeah, it's Villa.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and here's my reason. I don't think they'll be in Europe very long. I think they'll be gone out of Europe. I don't think that they'll get through in the Champions League, but I think they'll do really well in the league again. I've made some good signings. Like Onana in their midfield is a great signing, and I just that intimidates me, that midfield a little bit. I think it's a great midfield. Emery's got them well coached. They know what they're doing.
They removed Douglas Luiz, right? So what they got? Onana,
Tielemans, John McGinn. Let's go back through the roster as well.
I mean, I'm not. Yeah, okay, all right. Carry on.
Go on. So, yeah, I just think that they'll have a good season. And I personally have a soft spot, so I don't mind them doing well as long as they don't mess up important results for us. But that's Arsenal's problem, right? It's not Villa's problem. Obviously, you know, we've got to each year we require improvement, and one of our bogey teams is Aston Villa, and so we've got to nip that in the bud this season when we play them. But apart from that, I wish them all the best, and Ollie Watkins for Golden Boot.
Nah, come on, no one's beating Haaland, Jace.
Haaland might even be fit half the season.
Maybe. Okay, that's an interesting. That is like I would have put that as a bit of a dark horse pick because they're not even in my top 6.
Really?
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, we'll go on.
I was just looking at their midfield. Oh, okay.
Because they lost Luiz, right?
Yeah, but they signed Onana. They also signed Ross Barkley from Luton.
He had a good season at Luton, to be fair.
Yeah, he did. They got Yuri Tielemans.
He doesn't fit. He's not going to get many games for Villa, though.
No, they got Buendia, Enzo Roccarella, Leon Bailey, Den Donker,
Rogers looks good.
Jacob Ramsey, decent young kid. So yeah, why not?
Okay. Why not? I like it. My third is United, as you kind of astutely kind of recognised, and like I said, I know you're saying maybe they're overhyped. I'm kind of looking at it going, I think they've done some interesting work in the market. I think De Ligt, Euro, Xerxes, for all of the banter aside, I think they're not bad signings. There was a time when we considered Xerxes as being an option for us up top, so it can't be that bad. Mainu looks good and promising, and they've got quite a few strong and promising youth players. I would say that's why I kind of alluded to it a bit earlier. My worry is that you can just move through their midfield like butter. Casemiro has no right to be in that midfield and no right to be playing in that position in the Premier League. If he starts games, then I'd worry for them a bit. I don't know if he's actually started tonight. I was actually just going to have a quick little look and see if he has started tonight. That's the only bit that worries for me. But they've got Fernandes. I think is going to have a really good season. I genuinely think he's going to be up there, and I think he's going to have a really good season. And if Rashford can sort himself out, I think he'll have a good season. So I kind of feel that Man United have all the ingredients to bring themselves back to where they need to be. Whether they can do it or not, I suppose, is to be seen. And like you say, if they can grind out some results, and I think, like I say, a lot of their defense is what needed shoring up. I think they were like 15th or 16th for like goals conceded or opportunities against last season. Like they were incredibly bad at the back. And if they can sort that out, they've got some good firepower up top. I think they could be up there. But like you, I agree that I think the gap between first and second and the rest of that pack, I think is going to be probably between 5 and 10 points.
So, quick question for you. Have you seen the starting lineup they played up tonight?
Oh yeah, it's not great. I'm not denying that.
In the app, and I'm not watching the game. I'm just checking the app, and I'll go watch the second half. They got Bruno Fernandes lone striker.
Yeah, I guess Xerxes is not ready yet, and I think
And then
who's
Diallo,
Hoyland is not ready.
Yeah, Diallo, Mano, Casemiro, Mount, and then Rashford. Maybe Rashford's the one up front. Maybe Bruno's in the midfield with the 5, and it's Rashford down the middle. That can't be right. Bruno up front. That doesn't make any sense.
No, it wouldn't be right.
Anyway,
I know what you mean. Their lineup tonight looks poor, but I that's not going to be at full strength. That's not going to be your players. You've got a lot of Euro's been injured. De Ligt's going to come in. There is some changes there that's going to need to happen, but I think it's a bit of a bold prediction based on last season. I think that's a big jump from where they were to where they need to get to, no doubt. But I'm just interested to see. I do think they've got good ingredients. It's whether or not they can make a good cake from it.
Yeah. So I'm guessing we've got the same team in second place.
Yeah, I'd imagine you're on an Arsenal podcast. So if you're not putting on your rose-tinted glasses to put Arsenal at the top of the league, then what are you doing? So I'm guessing are they rose? I can't really tell from it. You've gone City as well for second place, I'm guessing, Jason. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Why do you think City is second? Or actually, no, because you might go Arsenal then. Tell me why, from a City reasoning, why you think City is second.
Downward spiral. That's what I think. So do you feel that, have you heard the things from Pep already? It's like, we're not going to start the season on fire. Rodri's only come back to today. He's not trained. He's not played a game. I feel like there's been loads of excuses out already, and maybe they're genuine things. He's just concerned and he wants to raise awareness, but your squad's the squad. Everyone's had players out. Yeah, Arsenal have had players out. We've had Spanish players out. We've had English players out, played the final. Our players have been back for 2 weeks. So if you wanted to give Rodri an extended holiday, then that's your decision. I don't give a shit about your excuses. That's I just feel like they're getting excuses in a little bit. At least that's how it comes across. And I just think that they are a big hole if Rodri's not fit for them. And Kevin De Bruyne is at least that Euros was awful for him. And I don't think in the last season he was. I feel like they need to find a De Bruyne replacement pretty quickly as well. Because I think he's gonna. My prediction is he might not be able to do what he used to do consistently for them. At least I'm not saying the quality is not there, and you don't lose the quality of the eye for a pass that he has and his technical ability, but the legs and the fitness is gotta be a concern if you're a City fan. So. Yeah, I see holes. They're not going to play Jack Grealish and they're just relying on Foden. That's a problem. I just feel like all round we have a stronger squad this year. I feel like they are on a downward trajectory, not a massive downward trajectory. It's not like they're going to drop off a cliff kind of trajectory. They're just on a slight down, and we are, if not getting at our peak, we've got a few more. 1 or 2 more steps to get. I think a couple more signings and we will be there. So maybe it's rose tinted glasses. I'm an Arsenal fan, but I think I'll take seconds, and I think third time lucky, third time's a charm. We've got the experience now to get over the line.
Okay.
Even last year was an improvement, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. The first line I wrote was, it has to happen at some point. Why not now? They can't keep winning. There's no world in which the Premier League is just theirs forever. It has to change at some point. So why can't it be now?
Well, they knew we got the season ticket, so that's why.
Well, I genuinely, I was kind of I said to a friend about this. I was like, genuinely, if that is it and this is the year and that's the time we've done it, I'd be absolutely unreal. Like you, I do think it can happen. City squad isn't getting any younger. I think I said that earlier. They've got a lot of aged squad members in their profile that they're going to need to monitor and manage. Like I say, De Bruyne can't play all the games anymore. He doesn't have the legs for it. They are facing the brink of 115 charges, and that decision has to come to an end at some point. Now, if it is this season, I've heard that it's going to be January or December. I can't remember that's like where
it starts in September. Is it the trial starts in September?
Yeah.
Is that right? And then it will.
Yeah, and it'll play out over that time. I mean, I would hate. I wouldn't hate it. I'm going to lie. If they get deducted points, we win the league because of it. So be it. A massive asterisk against us, though, which is a bit frustrating. Similar to what a lot of people say about Liverpool in the COVID season. That is what it is. I wouldn't like to win on a technicality, of course, but if it happens, it happens. I'm not going to be, I'll be down the Holloway Road like everybody else, banging the drums and fucking go mental. But that doesn't take away from the fact that there might be an asterisk there. So I don't think they're going to quite be where we think they are. I don't think they're also as convincing last year as they have been, and we were unfortunate to get pipped at the last game of the season. Edison, Kyle Walker, Silva, Stones, they're all not quite the players that I think they used to be. They're past that peak kind of age that we've hired and recruited players at now, where we're hitting those peaks in the likes of Rice. And there was only 2 points last year. So I don't think there's a big mountain to climb. I think this year is going to be, I think genuinely this is the year that is going to be the one. Can I just let me talk quickly about Arsenal, because obviously it's an Arsenal podcast and I want to do just that. I think we've had a pretty good preseason. I think we've got a lot of minutes in the legs. I think we've got anticipation of returning players in the likes of Martinelli, in the likes of Jesus, that look like they've got maybe a fire lit beneath them because of the talk in the market of other players that we could or might go for, some of the changes in personnel around the left-hand side in particular. That was an issue last season for us. And so there's some of that. I think I'm looking forward to seeing Timber. I really hope he does come back into the squad. Some of the short flashes that we saw in the Community Shield and the first home game of the season last year, our defence is I don't really know who's going to play. I think it's going to be Saliba, Gabriel, Ben White. That left-hand side is kind of open for debate, I think. I think Zinchenko will start tomorrow. Just because I think that he has to. And he as well has had a promising pre-season. He has looked very good. And his ball eye for a pass has never been in doubt. I know it's his defensive capabilities that we kind of say is the bit that he can't do. Wenweri, Lewis Skelly, I'm excited to see where they fit in and if they get minutes. I think we've got all the right materials to make the right changes this year. We've got a better amount of depth where we can rotate players. There is some concerns on Arteta's management of youth players, his rotation of players that play a game every 3 days. If we can maybe sort some of that out, might help us. We didn't have a lot of injuries last season, but our season is easily derailed by the likes of Saliba, Rice, or Erdegaard getting injured. We run a risk in those three in particular. I feel that if they get injured, we worry. And there's only one ending point that I wanted to kind of make, and I think this came across quite a lot to me when we saw the Lyon game. We were playing a lot more balls into the box than I think I've seen us play last season. I don't know if that was just me, that I was reading the situation differently, but we seem to be doing that a bit more because of the height advantage that we've got in some of the players that we've got. And we actually, for dead ball situations, for corners, for balls into the box, we were actually performing at our expected numbers last year, and our numbers last year were incredible for those type of things. If we actually exceed those expectations and perform over and above where we should be, we're going to be a force. We're going to be an absolute force. Like I said about Newcastle, a bit of luck will take us over the edge. I don't think we had a lot of luck last year, really. Maybe it might be one. I'm just trying to think back.
Yeah, our decisions, but I mean, everyone gets Power BI.
Well, but then we have the Newcastle one that goes against us, and then we'll get one that maybe goes against. I don't feel we got our rub of the green last year. I think we're there, and I think I'm genuinely. I'm not saying this is obviously we're on Reds, right? We're an Arsenal podcast. You got Arsenal garb all around us. Of course, we're going to say that. We said it last year, and it wasn't like a prediction that was out of the sphere of possibility. We were second by 2 points. It wasn't like we were fifth or sixth or something. Last year, we were there. We've improved, we got better, we took it to the last day of the season. Who's to say we can't do more this year?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in agreement. Anything else I can elaborate on? So, I mean, I'll talk about the start, because that was one key thing for me. We got to start fast. First 5 games, I think we've got City in that period. We've got
Chelsea, I think, as well.
Oh, is it? Yeah,
Maybe Chelsea. Yeah.
I can't remember. Look at the fixtures, but if we can win the first 5 games or at least get good points, then I think we really kick on, because we will have a much easier run then after those first 5. And if we can get over the line in those first 5, that's gonna build big confidence into the side. Defensive depth is ridiculous, and I absolutely bloody love it. It's brilliant. Calafiori, when he came on, looked amazing. Those surges into midfield he was doing against Lyon, which we saw him do at the Euros, were awesome. Saliba is immense. He is the best centre back, I'm going to say it, in the world. He had a great Euros. He had an absolutely amazing Euros. Can you name a better mid defender in the world right now? Ruben Diaz.
I mean, yeah, I'd say he's better than them. I think he might be defensive similar, but yeah, Saliba's ball carrying ability. I think that's a lot of what Arteta looks like, because Calafiori exhibited a lot of that as well when he played against Lyon. So yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, if I had my wish, it'd be one more attacker. I'd love to see Jan Guarnieri come in and have a solid. He's in the squad for tomorrow, I think, because he didn't play tonight in the under-21s, but Lewis Skelly is. So I'm assuming. I mean, we've got so many left backs. Lewis Skelly, he'll get minutes, but it will be League Cup minutes, I think. And you're going to see Guarnieri, I think, filling the Emil Smith Rowe hole, and I think that the people we bring in will be more in attack. If we get Marino over the line and we go for 1 or 2 more, we're going to see a Saka backup and probably a striker, which is we've been saying we need for a while. The only thing that kind of concerns me a little bit, there's 2 things. One, Ramsdale's situation looks a bit messy at the moment. We need to sort that out ASAP. We can't have him on the bench for another year, so that's money sitting on the table. We need to sort that out. Or we need to end it early and just go Spain, because we also need to get a replacement in for him if that's the case. And the other thing for me, Martinelli's year, ? Make it or break it year for Martinelli. Genuinely think so. It's a make or break year for Martinelli. He's either going to be our starting left winger, or he's going to be a squad player and he's going to have to accept it, or he'll get sold. Because we saw him against Lyon, and let's be honest, we're fans, and fans, we may not know what we're always talking about. We're not professionals, but we were frustrated with what we saw against Lyon, because he has amazing pace and he's not using it to his advantage. His touch is poor. His first touch is never good. It always takes him not in the right position. He was through on goal. He wasn't aware of who's around him. I feel like maybe I don't want to be critical, but at the same time, if Martinelli plays like how he played against Lyon in a Premier League game, then that's potentially leaving points on the table. And we got Saka, who's amazing in one wing. We need another good player on the opposite wing. You know, I think I was all for bringing Nico Williams in, but he obviously doesn't want to leave Bilbao, and I think he probably wants Barcelona more than anywhere. So, because I just feel we need another high quality winger. If Martinelli can't consistently be that for us, then unfortunately it's a bit of a cutthroat environment. Unfortunately, we're creating now, but that's what winners have to be. So make or break year for him, I think.
I agree with that. I think it's a really astute. I mean, there's the thing. Let's be real here. You can't just be devoid of criticism when you're not performing at the levels that's expected. We all love Martinelli, but it's similar to, Emil Smith Rowe to a point. It's like we had to accept that we needed to move on from him to really accelerate our growth and our trajectory in the Premier League. And now we have, and maybe you're right that's going to be. There was a time when we were having conversation with friends of ours that I believe that Martinelli was a better player than Diaz. I think last year maybe his numbers, or the season before, definitely his numbers were better. Last season might be closer, but there's an element here where I'm like, we're quite unfortunate that we've got Trossard, because if we didn't, we'd be having a different conversation right now for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
He looks like he had a great preseason. And I think he looks really hungry.
I mean, I love Trossard. Biggest bargain I think we've ever had.
Yeah, I think he was an incredible signing for the price we paid, and the proven Premier League goals. He's going to get at least probably 10 to 15 GA a season easily. Yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah. All right, is that a wrap?
That is a wrap. Yeah. We both predicted Arsenal. We did this last year. We come close. So fingers crossed. The season ticket luck, third time's the charm, and all of that around us. So it's been a pleasure, Jace. Looking forward to the season ahead. We're going to be joining you again probably this weekend. Like I said, me and Jace are going to be there. We're going to obviously be watching Arsenal versus Wolves tomorrow. So I'm sure at some point we'll review that game and bring you that content. If you do get the opportunity, please do leave a comment what you think your predictions for this season is going to be. Please do give this video a like. Please do give the channel a subscribe. And if you're on your podcast provider of choice, Jason, what do we want those guys to do?
Yeah, leave us a lovely review. Leave us a 5-star or more. 5-star or more? 4-star? 5-star? Definitely 5-star.
5-star or more.
I don't think you can get more than 5 stars.
No, but do it if you can.
We'd love to hear from you. Give us a review, give us a star rating. Everything helps to the growth of the pod. Thank you.
Cool. All right, and we'll see you again very, very soon.
Cheers, guys.
Come on, you